is Wednesday. Wow, that's quite fast. I mean, the week is moving really fast. 2 days to the weekend, but since the countdown is officially on, it is exactly 18 days to the 25th of December. That means that you should be thinking about Christmas if you do celebrate it. My name is Simba, Elijah Charles Kiage. Since it's Wednesday, Working Woman Wednesday. Apparently, that's what it is. We do have the working woman with us in the studio, Nelima. Good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning, Simba, and good morning to our viewers from wherever you're watching us from. This is the Morning Drift. Thank you so much for choosing to wake up with us this morning, and we've got you covered on all things news that is making headlines on our local dailies across social media, and of course the stories that you can expect throughout the day. And Simba, you mentioned Christmas, and reminds me of the period between Christmas, which is 25th of December, to fast of December, where people wake up and they don't know if it's a Monday or a Tuesday or a Wednesday. You just wake up and sleep and eat and wake up and sleep. Looking forward to that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
There's a period here actually between 25th and fast, or even 2nd or 3rd, depending on when your holiday ends, where you are not so sure which day of the week it is, even the time, really. I'm also looking forward to that. Those are one of the good things about holiday, by the way. And Nelima, when we make so much money, probably when we do that, I think that's the life that we'll be living, isn't it? Where you have to confirm which day it is. Yeah? Beautiful life. But anyway, for us, we're still here, we're still pushing, not yet gone for holiday. When are we breaking, by the way?
That totally
we make it
depends.
official.
You know, the TV never goes off.
Yeah, it never goes off.
We will be here to keep our viewers informed and just see how we're going to be celebrating our Christmas.
Oh, yeah?
But right about now, we should be having our deco going on. So
right,
just bring the Christmas spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the logo on our, on the Christmas decoration on our logo, somebody was asking about it yesterday. But guess what? For us, we're already in it. And I will tell you something that has happened yesterday. Africa has now progressed to the quarterfinals of the World Cup. That is Morocco, disciplined Spain yesterday in quite an entertaining match, Nelima,
right,
that saw us play the entire 130 minutes. Good. Then we went to the penalty kicks. Now, can I tell you something though? Spain missed not one, but all the penalty kicks.
I saw them.
You saw that?
I saw them.
All of them.
And
how do you do that?
I just think it was not a very good day, but a good day for Morocco, which is an African team. And of course, you know, we are looking and eyeing that World Cup. If it comes to Africa, we'll be so happy. I
will tell you that. A lot of things happening today. We do expect that Raila Amolo Odinga will be holding his first of his planned 2 deliberation meetings, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
And of course, the opposition now asserting itself in its position as the opposition, of course, and just making sure to check the government, the public consultation meetings. Yeah. And the Azimio leader, Raila Odinga, has categorically put it that these are not demonstrations, they are public consultations. And so then the Kenya Kwanza Brigade should stop, you know, just painting a picture of violence or unsettling, that they are going to consult to the public. So that is a story that we are looking to cover in our newsrooms today. Our reporters are going to be on the ground just to bring you up to speed and give you the whole picture.
Yeah, can't wait for that as well. And we do expect that the president has actually been weighing in on this. We do have reports, but not confirmed though, but there's been conversations around the president saying we need them to present a motion in parliament where we're going to empower the opposition side so they can actually keep the government in check. But guess what? More conversations on those coming your way right here throughout the day on a Lookuptv, just like Nancy Nelima said, that those are the stories that we give weight right here at Lookuptv. For now, we'll take a tiny breather. Once we come back, then we'll be telling you exactly what is trending in as much as your dailies are concerned this morning. Well, welcome back. You are still watching The Morning Drift, but not certainly Lookuptv. We are live across our social media platforms at Lookuptv, across all of them. I am at Kiage, Simba. Nancy, where you at?
And I am at Nelima Nancy on Twitter. And the hashtag is The Morning Drift. Right about now, we take a look at what's happening across our local dailies.
Yes.
And on the front page of the Daily Nation, Simba, is something about schools. Boarding schools, a shock for parents. Now, less than 5% of primary schools have boarding facilities, according to the government. And now from next year, there's a ban on boarding for primary school pupils.
What?
So that has come as a shocker for very many parents. I don't know if you went to boarding school in primary school.
Yeah, I did.
You did?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, that must have been tough.
My brother and sister, they attended boarding school as from class 3 and 4.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hold on. So completely out.
Yes. So there's only going to be an exemption to that rule. Will be the communities which are the pastoralist communities are the only people who are going to be exempted from those new rules. But now the ban starts next year, that no boarding for primary school kids, and as well the junior high. Yeah. Remember, under the CBC, there's the pioneer class, which is the grade 6 who've now graduated now to junior high come January 2023. As well, they'll be domiciled in the primary schools where they have been, and it won't be boarding. They'll be day scholars.
They'll be day scholars. Right. Nelima, but did you go to boarding in primary?
No, I didn't.
Majority of parents and across the country will tell you the pros and cons of going to boarding school, but you will find that the pros actually outweigh the cons.
Do they, though?
Yeah, they do.
Because from the experience that my older siblings had, my parents were sure to be like, no, until you're older, we'll keep you where we can see you.
Keep you where we can see you.
Right.
Yeah. And this is on the back of conversations around how CBC would work better if the kids then get to go home, so the parents can actually help them get to learn issues around CBC. Is that what it is?
Right.
But then, Nelima, when you come to Nairobi, majority of parents would love their kids to go to boarding school because of the busy lives that a modern day living is.
Right, and there's something very interesting that President William Ruto said last week, that then all primary schools within the county, even within the locality, the ward, then they have to be well equipped, so that a student, a pupil, does not have to travel across 3 counties just to go to school. So if all schools are equipped, they have a good laboratory, they have all practicals that are required, then students don't have to move far away just to go and get some education. So if this move, in essence, just works, if all schools are well equipped, if learning and a good education is in all schools, then perhaps there won't be need for boarding schools at all.
I mean, guess what? Both bitter and sweet, depending on what side of the conversation then that you come. We've been seeing a lot of communications in the education sector in the country. As regards CBC, the other day we did realize that junior high was not going to be a thing, and then now no boarding schools. Anyway, it's going to be an interesting 2023 in the education sector.
Obviously, a very interesting time to be a pupil or a student in Kenya, as these reforms are being made in the education sector. And as well, that story comes to you on page 2 and 3 of the Daily Nation. There's also the 30 days of defiance. That's how the Daily Nation puts it, for Raila Odinga as the Azimio Brigade will today converge at the Kamukunji grounds for the launch of the anti-Ruto rallies, which will lead to Jamhuri Apparel, Jamhuri celebrations at Jacaranda Gardens on December 12th. So Simba, they put it as anti-Ruto rallies, but like I mentioned earlier, then the leader of opposition, Azimio leader Raila Odinga, did say that these are public consultations, and that was seconded by one of the principals, Martha Karua, who did say that she is a person who follows the rule of law. And so then everything is done by the Constitution. And so it is not illegal, a gathering is not illegal. And of course, in line with that as well, then is the Interior Cabinet Secretary, Professor Kithure Kindiki, who had, there was a meeting yesterday, and he did say, he weighed in on those public consultations that are set to begin today. And he said that we'll secure Raila rallies, Kindiki says. But he said that as long as they give their itinerary, how often, how frequent they'll be doing these public consultations, so that the government then can be aware of how planned they can be. But he also said that anyone found with any type of weapon, including stones, will be dealt with. So the government has given its full support for these public consultations. Though the Kenya Kwanza Brigade, we had seen them at work. But again, the Cabinet Secretary for Interior, that is Kithure Kindiki, did say that it is their right, as per the Constitution, to exercise their freedom to expression, freedom of gathering as well. And so they'll provide the necessary security for as long as all the detail, the itinerary, is well listed. And that comes to you on page 5 of the Daily Nation. And of course, there is a lot about the 30 days of anti-Ruto protest. That comes to you on page 4 of the Daily Nation. And of course, this is, it is public consultations that were pushed from during the time the exams were being run. And of course, from today, Simba, then we'll be looking to see how the public consultations go. In the past, as history has it, then the demonstrations have been very murky, running battles with police, tear gas, and even gunshots. Death has been reported in the past. But this time, the Azimio Brigade has categorically put it that they're going to be public consultations on key matters. And so, Simba, that is what we have here on the Daily Nation.
Yes.
Let's cross over to your side.
Let me tell you what is essentially headlining the Standard. On page 4 of the Standard today, there's a story about how Uhuru has stricken a deal with the DRC rebels. Now, remember, the former president has been headlining these conversations right here in Nairobi. Look to see if the week-long conversations have yielded fruit. Read that story on page 4. We did see him the other day completely traumatized after realized that the payment for the participants of those particular talks were undercut in terms of their daily pay. He cancelled the conversations, came back at them a day earlier, but today we have the headline that indeed a deal has been reached. On pages 6, same story that Nelima has already spoken to you about the planned rally today. Read into that story on page 6. That is by the Azimio leader right there, Raila Molo Odinga. But even as we talk about these developments in the education sector, primary school teachers heads are already in Mombasa to deliberate on issues CBC and also chat on a way forward with the recommendations by the CBC tax force that was put in place by President William Ruto, and they've already come up with what their wish list would be then moving into next year. Yes, those are some of the stories. Now we take a tiny break. Once we come back, then we'll be moving into what is trending online. Welcome back. You are watching The Morning Drift. This is Lookuptv. My name is Simba Charles Kiage. I'm not alone. I am with Nancy Nelima this morning. Here's the thing. Somebody asked you a question, Nelima.
Sure.
Is it Nelima Nancy or is it Nancy Nelima?
Where?
And in the order of saying it.
I think that depends on what you want to say. It's Nancy Nelima, it's Nelima Nancy. They're all in the birth certificate.
Yeah. Because the same thing, the same question has been asked to Amwai Brian, by the way, whether it's Brian Amwai or Amwai Brian. Because on Twitter is that Amwai Brian, his name is Brian Amwai.
Yeah, we like to switch things up just a little bit, keep things interesting.
Anyway, yes, we're moving. And by the way, so the guys have been saying that we should do a show together, the three of us, all of us. I don't know how it's going to be. There was a comment like that on social media the other day.
That's interesting. We're working on it.
Anyway, I don't know how it's going to be. All right, let's cross over then online and see exactly what it is that you're talking about right now. And we're going to open our tweet center. This is Junet Mohammed and Nelima. Look at what he's saying. Mudukuf Rice today advised us to go to court if we are aggrieved. I wish to inform him that 5 cases were filed by lawyers, all right, of the Charera group in different courts, and all the judges in those courts gave them the same date for hearing, 14th of December. Who's micromanaging the courts? But Nelima, we did see the other day as well with the president coming in to say, well, I am not in bed with the judiciary. That's what he actually said. Junet Mohammed has a point under the doctrine of free speech.
Right. Yeah. And, you know, this is a growing conversation because the president has appeared to be very friendly, of course, to the judiciary, with his first day in office, just swearing in 6 judges that had been left out in the cold in Uhuru's tenure. And since then, even just increasing the budget of the judiciary as well, he has endeared himself to the judiciary. But the president has also said that he just wants rule of law to be followed and justice to be served faster to the people. Hence his immense support to the judiciary. But he did say that he is not in any way trying to influence anything, that the judiciary is an independent institution. Yeah,
I'll say that. But the question that he's asking, and pick my sentiments, Nelima, on it. We did see the first, the opening. It's actually not an opening. Yeah, it was the opening of the 13th Parliament.
Right.
We did see the judiciary well represented there. And we've seen exactly what has happened right now in the judiciary. He did promise that he's going to appoint the 6 judges who the former president swore never to appoint. It was first thing that he did when he came to the office. Gachagua has been saying about extending that budget to the judiciary as well in the next budgetary making process. Things that we never saw happen that much in the previous government. Is that why Junet will be coming to talk about it? Today, by the way, again, as we speak right now, the president is in another judiciary event today as well. Yeah,
and the president did say that he is in very many of those judiciary events, but he has goodwill for the judiciary and that they have his full support because for him, justice delayed is justice denied. And so the faster people get justice, then the better for everyone, and hence his immense support. But of course, that is an area we're looking to follow closely right here on Lookuptv, and we'll be keeping our viewers, of course, informed how it unveils. I'll
tell you that as well. Now, this is, let me just get you one comment then. This is by DJ Dogs, okay? He's saying that a wise person knows when to walk away. Unfortunately, Raila and much of ODM members of parliament who survived through him can't see that.
Very interesting.
Interesting, isn't it?
Very interesting because, you know, for very many people, the idea is that this was the August 9th election was the last bullet for the Azimio leader, Raila Odinga. And so from then henceforth, perhaps he would not be actively involved in politics, perhaps not even vie for presidency in 2027, given his age. But now, again, he says, Raila Odinga has said that the fight for democracy is what he has been doing for over 30 years, and he won't stop. And as well, it is people's right and freedom to support whichever side of the divide they choose to. So I get the argument, but it's a free country.
Pretty much. All right, let's then cross over to the next one this morning in terms of our, yes, here it is. This is what Raila Amolo Odinga did tweet, Nelima, is saying, we are seeing a pattern. People facing serious criminal cases like money laundering, fraud, and giving kickbacks are appointed to critical positions, including leadership of the very institutions that have taken them to court. Ruto is slowly imposing a mafia state on Kenya. That's what he did tweet, and this is said is going to be part of the conversations that we're going to see today, national deliberations. But it's not a lie, though, Nelima, when you look at it. I mean, we've raised questions on particular appointments and the way that the DPP himself as well has handled some of the cases that Raila Amolo Odinga is pointing out to. It makes sense, isn't it? From an opposition perspective, from a critical Kenyan, you would argue like Raila Amolo Odinga, won't you, Nelima?
Right, and of course that is a conversation that is ongoing.
Yeah.
And the place of opposition in the country.
Yeah.
We know that the opposition's work is to keep the government in check, keep it on its toes. But as well, the president says he is embracing the fact that there's need for opposition to check the government. And so establishing the go-ahead for MPs in his Kenya Kwanza brigade to support proposals to establish the office of the leader of opposition. Mm-hmm. Perhaps then he is open to being challenged as a president, as a government, as the office of the president. But again, he has not been in line with the public participations that are ongoing. So it will be interesting just to see what he has in store, what the MPs are planning around the office of the opposition leader. What exactly is it going to entail? How much are they going to be checking the government? Yeah. And under what conditions, under what terms? It is going to be very interesting. This is actually a story that we are following up, Simba.
Isn't it? And I'll put it into proper perspective like this. Let me just read this tweet from one Oscar Ngendi saying, Waluke, by the way, whose case was dismissed, isn't it? He's affiliated to your coalition. Wasn't he sentenced by the courts?
He was sentenced.
He wasn't.
Yes.
Oh, wow, he wasn't. So this is him asking, this is Oscar asking that the same courts that you're complaining about, didn't they then sentence Waluke?
Yes.
It makes sense, isn't it?
Yeah. So there have been several convictions since President William Ruto took office. Yeah. And just his support to the judiciary, now fast-tracking the cases, but as well, the Director of Public Prosecutions dropping a lot of cases. So it has been a little bit of a neither here nor there for a lot of critics who then say that on one hand, the prosecutions that are going on the other hand, the cases that are being dropped off. So which is which exactly?
I tell you, there's a lot of developments around this particular one, just like Nelima is already spoken about. We should be keeping a tabs on this particular event today that the opposition is planning to run down. So the only thing that we're going to do right now is essentially take a tiny breather. Once we come back, Nelima will be coming back to take you back to the newsroom so we can get to show you some of the biggest headlines that you are pushing your day with. For me, I'll go for my tea break. I'll be back from 11 to 12. We'll be talking about Lookuptv. Good morning.
Vera Beauty and Fashion College is focused on being the leading technical and vocational training institute in the region. Our team possesses in-depth knowledge and extensive experience in the industry, offering thorough training in cosmetology, hairdressing, interior design, creative arts, training of trainers, nail technology, and fashion design. With branches in Nairobi, Thika, Meru, Eldoret, and now in Mombasa, our courses ensure that learners are completely equipped with knowledge, competency, and employability skills. Enroll today to be a part of a center of excellence.
So mimi nilikuwa mmoja wa timu kubwa ya Hasla na gojea mazao yake.
Na bila shaka mpenzi mtazamaji, ni awamu nyingine tena ya bunge la mwenyeji ambapo tunasikia tu maoni ya wenyeji, hasa wananchi wa kawaida. Je, maoni ni yapi?
Anakwambia wananchi ndio kila kitu. Unaona dipsi na system ni wananchi. Unaona vile wamenyorosha watu bwana.
Tumeng'oa nanga kwenye bunge la mwenyeji.
So ile kitu tunamuomba asituachilie.
Ni wakati wa mkutano. Jioni kwenye kamati ya kijiji.
Hadithi hii ilianza mwaka 1991.
Vipi kuhusu ngano kwa shamba langu kikauka? Haina haja. Tutakupa kwa njia pia tukapuje.
Mkoa unaojiendesha wa Shahui ulitekeleza sera ya makazi mapya ya kuhamisha watu wa maeneo yenye umaskini ya Shiaigu ili waweze kujikimu.
Ninatumaini sana kwamba siku moja jangwa hapa litakuwa kijani kibichi na mji wetu wa Mining utakuwa na miundombinu kamili.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with Lookuptv. The hashtag is The Morning Drift, coming to you live from Kenya's capital, Nairobi. Right now, it's about time for us to catch you up on stories that are making headlines at this moment. Starting us off, the government has announced that all students in grades 1 to 9 will be day schooling beginning next year. The announcement was made by Basic Education Principal Secretary Belia Kipsang, who represented the President William Ruto in the official opening ceremony of the 18th Kenya Primary School Heads Association Annual General Meeting and Conference at the Sheikh Zayed Children Welfare Center in Mombasa.
I will be asking you as our head teachers to start verification of data of our schools. We would want to appreciate each and every of our 23,000 public schools so that we can know and be sure that each one of us has capacity to host the junior school. And where we think that we can share the responsibility with our neighboring school, let's say that. One thing I would want to appreciate also is that my officers at the ministry have informed me that almost 50% of your schools have produced a secondary school. And therefore, it will make it easy for us to share facilities. And such facilities would include our human resource. But the most critical facility is that we shall be socializing our children to basic science. We co-parent with teachers. We don't outsource parenting to teachers. And therefore, we must acquire the values that we expect of them.
And one thing we'd like to say is that
So mimi nilikuwa mmoja
good to have you join us on Heart to Heart.
We bring you stories of people who, despite the pressures they experienced, still trusted God to see them through.
The seeds that was sown in me helped me navigate and overcome that period of my life.
New testimonies, new insights, and even better revelation of the good things God has in store for us.
There is always a blessing waiting for someone in every episode.
There will be no handshake. The only handshake William Ruto is interested in is a handshake with the hustlers to give them the hustler fund. Ile handshake Dr. William Ruto ako haja naye ni handshake ya hawa viongozi wa kanisa. We want meaningful handshake for this country. Lakini hiyo barabara anaenda tunamjua. Afanya maandamano na rais tunakuomba akubaliwe afanye. Hata tupea askari wa mlinde, bora wasiguse mali yetu.
Already seen all of it from here, thanks to my wonderful long neck.
Ni wakati wa mkutano. Jioni kwenye kamati ya kijiji.
Hadithi hii ilianza mwaka 1991.
Vipi kuhusu ngano kwa shamba langu kikauka? Haina haja. Tutakupa kwa njia pia tukapuje.
Mkoa unaojiendesha wa Nenshahui ulitekeleza sera ya makazi mapya ya kuhamisha watu wa maeneo yenye umaskini ya Shiaigu ili waweze kujikimu.
Ninatumaini sana kwamba siku moja jangwa hapa litakuwa kijani kibichi na mji wetu wa Mining utakuwa na miundombinu kamili.
Vera Beauty and Fashion College is focused on being the leading technical and vocational training institute in the region. Our team possesses in-depth knowledge and extensive experience in the industry, offering thorough training in cosmetology, hairdressing, interior design, creative arts, training of trainers, nail technology, and fashion design. With branches in Nairobi, Thika, Meru, Eldoret, and now in Mombasa, our courses ensure that learners are completely equipped with knowledge, competency, and employability skills. Enroll today to be a part of a center of excellence.
When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, and when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when funds are low and the debts are high, and you want to smile but you have to sigh, when care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but don't you quit. Life is queer with its twists and turns, as every one of us sometimes learns, and many a failure turns about when he might have won if he'd stuck it out. Don't give up though the pace seems slow. You may succeed with another blow. Often the goal is nearer than it seems to a faint and faltering man. Often the struggler has given up when he might have captured the victor's cup. And he learned too late, when the night slipped down, how close he was to the golden crown. Success is failure turned inside out, the silver tint of the clouds of doubt. And you never can tell how close you are. It may be near when it seems afar. So stick to the fight when your heart is hit. It's when things seem worse that you mustn't quit.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with Lookuptv. Our apologies for that hitch right there. Let's begin the daily stories. The government has announced that all students in grades 1 to 9 will be day schooling beginning next year. The announcement was made by Basic Education Principal Secretary Bello Kipsang, who represented President William Ruto in the official opening ceremony of the 18th Kenya Primary School Heads Association, the annual general meeting and conference at the Sheikh Zayed Children Welfare Center in Mombasa. Let's take a look.
I will be asking you as our head teachers to start validation, verification of data of our schools. We would want to appreciate each and every of our 23,000 public schools so that we can know and be sure that each one of us has capacity to host the junior school. And where we think that we can share the responsibility with our neighboring school, let's say that. One thing I would want to appreciate also is that my officers at the ministry have informed me that almost 50% of your schools have produced a secondary school. And therefore, it will make it easy for us to share facilities. And such facilities would include our human resource. But the most critical facility is that we shall be socializing our children to basic science. We co-parent with teachers. We don't outsource parenting to teachers. And therefore, we must work together towards making our children acquire the values that we expect of them.
And one thing we'd like to say is that the teacher shortage is a reality in this country. We have a shortfall of 116,000 teachers. And we are happy that even before 100 days, His Excellency the President has directed we recruit 30,000 teachers. I hand the President and the government. I would like to reassure you, sir, that the Commission, as I am here, the entire system is in place, and by the close of the next 2 weeks, we will have advertised those posts, because we have to align with the directive of the President.
And that conference is top among our stories today. We are keeping an eye, so do keep it Lookuptv for further information. Moving on to security matters, Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki has assured Azimio One Kenya leader Raila Odinga and his supporters of security during their anti-government consultation meeting. Speaking at Harambee House, Kindiki, however, warned that the government will ruthlessly deal with anybody who will break the law during the demos. Shadrach Karewe reports.
Only one day after President William Ruto committed to provide security for the Azimio leader Raila Odinga and his supporters during their anti-government consultation meeting, which is expected to take place on Wednesday.
Nimemwambia Profesa Kindiki aulize hawa watu schedule ya maandamano ndio tuwapatie askari ya kuwachunga.
The Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki came out to clarify the position of the government on the same.
These activities and events must be unarmed. Anybody carrying all manner of arms, including rocks, stones, and other material that can hurt other people, would be in violation of Article 37 and would be in violation of our Constitution.
Kindiki stated that should the demos be protected by the police, the participators must maintain peace and act in accordance with the Constitution.
Those who want to test what our resolve is can try to break the law. The same way we have done with the MAGAs of Nairobi. The same way we are ruthlessly pursuing the bandits in the north of our country. The same way we are engaged to ensure that we keep terrorists at bay is the same way we will ruthlessly deal with any Kenyan who wants to use the democratic space of our Constitution to interfere with the rights and freedoms of other Kenyans.
The CS, however, warned that the police are ready to ruthlessly deal with anyone who will participate in criminal act during the demos.
We in the security sector are not interested in the political discussions around the activities that are happening. We remain professional, focused, but extremely firm and ruthless with lawbreakers.
Kindiki also asked the Azimio coalition to share their demos or meeting schedules for the security purposes. The Azimio coalition earlier declared to begin anti-government consultation meeting, citing what they termed as bad leadership by President William Ruto, following the process to remove 4 IBC commissioners from office. Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki has stated that even as the ministry will be protecting the rights of those who will be holding demonstration, the ministry will also be protecting the rights of those who have different opinion. Reporting for Lookuptv from Harambee House in Nairobi, my name is Shadrach Kareria.
We're moving on. Meru County Assembly Minority Whip Dennis Kiagora filed a fresh notice of motion for the impeachment of Governor Kawira Mwangaza. Kiagora will now prosecute the motion within the next 7 days after MCAs voted to alter the Assembly's calendar by moving the adjournment date by 2 weeks.
The standoff between MCAs and the battled Meru Governor Kawira Mwangaza has seen each side maintain a hard stance until recently when the governor climbed down and made a public apology. The Meru County Assembly has, however, tabled a second leg notice of motion for impeachment to send the governor packing.
We were tabling the motion today. It is because we have a dictatorial government that is not even allowing us to oversight, because it is our role and it is our duty.
In the list of pledgings, the MCAs accused the governor of being untrustworthy and disrespectful to the county assembly, while the governor has fingered the ward representatives for attempting to lure her into breaking the law by establishing the Ward Development Fund. Some of the accusations leveled against the governor include nepotism, illegal appointments, unlawful dismissals, usurpation of constitutional and statutory functions, incitement, bullying, vilification, among others.
As engaged in multiple discreditable acts that severally and collectively amount to gross violation of the Constitution, gross violation of various national and county laws, gross abuse of various laws, abuse of office, and gross misconduct.
It's sad, Mr. Speaker, that even staff at the executive have been infected by these dictatorial tendencies.
Earlier, Speaker Ayub Bundi said while there is an opportunity for talks, the Assembly has the power to introduce fresh impeachment motions after the court barred debate on the first one where 68 out of 69 MCAs are supporting the move to impeach the governor.
The discreditable acts have exposed the office of the governor, the Assembly, and the leadership of the people of Meru County and its leadership in the Meru County to national shame, embarrassment, ridicule, and disrepute.
According to the order paper for the morning sitting of December 6th, Abogeta West MCA Dennis Kiagora, who serves as the minority whip, is expected to give the 7-day notice for the impeachment debate. On Sunday, the head of state was roped in the whole saga, but the big question that begs for an answer is, will she survive? Cecilia Lubanga, Lookuptv.
Thank you. Pose the question, which is,
And to some politics, campaigns to replace Speaker of the National Assembly Moses Wetangula as Bungoma Senator came to a close on Tuesday in accordance with the election laws and regulations. Moses Wetangula led other Ford Kenya leaders to drum up support for Wafula Wakoli, while Kakamega Senator Boni Khalwale drummed up support for UDA candidate Dan Wanyama. Azimio Brigade campaigns were spearheaded by Eugene Wamalwa in what is shaping up as a hotly contested race between Ford Kenya, UDA and Azimio. Our reporter Henry Tende with the last appeal campaigns of the election slated for Thursday.
It was an eventful day in Bungoma County. Candidates eyeing the vacant senatorial seat crisscrossing the county in the last appeal to voters to vote in their preferred candidates. National Speaker Moses Wetangula and Didmas Baraza were in Webuye to drum up support for Ford Kenya candidate Wafula Wakoli. Wakoli expressing confidence he will deliver the seat back to the party.
I want to take this opportunity to encourage the voters of Bungoma to turn out in large numbers, determined to protect our forte, to protect our territory against the onslaughts of our adversaries.
Nyinyi mnakubali watu wa Bugoli? Mtapigia kura huyu kijana yetu huyu David Wafula Wakoli? Mjumbe yenu akikuja mwambie aende polepole, mmempigia kura akae hapo, mwambie wa viongozi wengi wa Bungoma wako nyuma ya David Wafula Wakoli.
The Ford Kenya party, which enjoys massive support in Bungoma, urging UDA candidate to bolt out of the race in support of Wakoli.
Tumesema kwa heshima ya uhusiano mwema wa Kenya kwanza, hatujaweka candidate huko. Hatutaki pia kiti yetu ya Bungoma, heshima ambayo tuko naye katika Kenya kwanza, tuletewe mtu wa chama ingine ya UDA yenye tumepea heshima huko. Nataka mtupatie heshima pia.
The appeal, however, was not on the cards for President William Ruto's UDA party. Kakamega Senator Boni Khalwale was in the county to urge residents to vote in UDA man former Bumula MP Mwambu Mabonga.
Kweli watu wa Bungoma, kuna mtu anaweza angusha Mheshimiwa Rais William Ruto kura 2027? Kunayo kweli? Sasa nyinyi mnataka kwenda kwa rais straight ama mnataka kupitia kwa mtu ndio mfike? Tunaenda straight. Na wewe
Mwambu mkimpatia kura mtakuwa mmetuweka Waluya pamoja. Hata nafasi yenye Mheshimiwa Wetangula anafikiria siku za usoni, Mudavadi anafikiria, tutakuwa tumewapatia network ya kupata hiyo kitu. Lakini wakianza kupigana na Ruto saa hii 2032, wakati Ruto anatoka, ataachia wale ambao wamesimama.
The Azimio camp, led by former Defense CS Eugene Wamalwa, appealed on residents to vote in former Kandui MP Wafula Wamunyinyi, saying he has a wealth of experience to bring change in the national politics through mature debates in the Senate.
Munipe nafasi niwe seneta wenu tafadhali. Tembea na mimi kwa hii safari. Watu wa Bumula mtatembea na mimi. Mtanipatia nafasi hii. Muko tayari kwa hii safari? Nipe mkono ya hii safari.
Watu wa Bungoma, watu wa Bumula, watu wa Kimaiti, tarehe 8 mutatupa seneta wa Azimio aende achunge huyu governor wa Kenya kwanza. Hapo tumekubaliana.
IEBC has scheduled Thursday the 8th of December as the day the voters will go to the polls to elect their next senator. Henry Tende, Lookuptv.
Right, and that's all we had for you from our newsroom. But as well, just to bring you up to speed with stories that we are following up for the rest of the day. And you can keep it Lookuptv. Remember our news bulletins that come to you every single day at 1 p.m. kutoka mashinani, 4 p.m. trending news, at 6:30 Look Up Tarifa, and 8 p.m. Look Up News. So this is some of the things that we have planned for the day today. Of course, we'll be keeping an eye on the conference of the Kenya Primary Schools Association that is happening in Mombasa. We'll have our eye on, and as well the ban on boarding schools for primary students, for primary pupils, and the Azimio meeting, which is top among our stories today, and all the security that the government has assured them. So we'll be looking to see how the public consultations will be unveiled this will be day one of that event. That is something that we're keeping a close eye on. And as well, of course, a lot coming up on our business front and the World Cup, now that the African team is firmly in the quarter-finals. Nancy Nelima here. This is the Morning Drift. But coming up next is All Matters Interior Decor. Let's get an understanding of what the interior decor business is like in the country.